Welcome to the When It Matters podcast, brought to you by Kirkwood Bank and Trust. This podcast provides in-depth interviews with business owners and banking experts about how to better your financial health and be prepared for the moments that matter. I'm Brittany Materi, loan officer with Kirkwood Bank and Trust. Today's guest is Heather Jones, President and CEO of City Air Mechanical, Inc. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Just to start off here, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. I'm born and raised in Minot, North Dakota. My business, City Air Mechanical, actually is a fourth generation mechanical contracting company. So I kind of grew up in this business. We started City Air Mechanical in '99, and that's when I moved to Bismarck. I was probably 23 years old, so I'm kind of aging myself there. But that's kind of where the history of the business has come from.
I know you said you're a multi-generational business. How exactly did you guys start?
Well, my great-grandfather immigrated from England and started, it wasn't at the time called Mowbray and Son Plumbing and Heating, but when my grandfather joined, that's what the name of that company. That's kind of our legacy company. So that was started in 1916. So it went from my great-grandfather to my grandfather to my father to now my brother. He runs our Minot business, and it was in 1999 again where we decided to expand to the new market of Bismarck-Mandan with City Air Mechanical.
Okay. Would you want to share a little bit more about City Air Mechanical and what they do?
We call ourselves a full-service design, build, and maintain mechanical contractor. So we have on-staff engineers that can help with designing systems for new facilities, troubleshooting new facilities, and then of course we have the construction aspect. So we're part of building the new buildings. And then on the flip side, we have a full-service HVAC and plumbing maintenance staff. So our philosophy is we're with the building from concept all the way to its whole life cycle.
So You're leading an operation that's filled with like HVAC, plumbers, engineers, all these very male-dominated careers. What's that like for you as a woman?
Right now it feels like old news. I've been doing it for so long, but honestly it's been really interesting because, being fourth generation, I think, and especially in a male-dominated industry, I think there's that challenge of high expectations. And my son just graduated high school and he's working in our warehouse, and he's sort of feeling that a little bit for the first time. So that's been really interesting having these conversations with him. But at the same time, I think as a woman in this industry, it's been a little bit of the challenges of the low expectations. It's been interesting how many times I couldn't tell you I've heard, "Oh, you're pretty smart." "Oh, this is what you do." Kind of that surprise factor, and that's been kind of interesting. But on the flip side, I think being a female and the male, it also has its advantages.
Sure.
I think a lot of times when you got a room full of testosterone and you walk in, it kind of brings down the level of some situations, and that's kind of been a benefit for me,
sure,
in all honesty.
You mentioned you have a son. Being such a go-getter with your family, how do you maintain kind of a work-life balance through it all?
One of my mentors told me this once, and I kind of hold it dear to my heart, is I don't think there's a perfect formula for work-life balance. I think he kind of said it's kind of one of those, the law scale, right, is sometimes your family needs you more and that's where you need to spend your time, and sometimes your business needs you more. And it's constantly shifting and making sure you're not leaving one or the other behind.
Sure.
So.
Sure, that's good advice.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
What advice would you give to young women who are starting out their career today?
I would just say if you find something that you enjoy and you feel like you can be passionate and successful in, is to just go for it. It was one of those things where I could attend events, but don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to, I heard also someone tell me, bring your own chair if you need it, to give yourself a seat at the table. But I don't know that that's ever been a huge issue for me. Like I said, it's always been a very welcoming environment for me in most cases. So, but just go for it. Don't be afraid to try.
Sure. Do you have any tips on the financial side of the business?
I sure do. Actually, I've always had the key business purpose of that there are 3 very important partners you need to be successful in business. You need to have a good insurance agent, you need to have a good accountant, and you need to have a banker. And those relationships are really key and core. Back in '99, our relationship with Kirkwood Bank started with Pete Johnner, was our business banker. And it was awesome to know that you could go to somebody and he already understood your business, he understood your needs, whether it was, needing a line of credit or buying some capital assets to help with growth, whatever it was. It really helps with that speed and that understanding, just to have someone that you know and trust.
Well, we're glad we've had you since 1999 then.
Yeah.
This is the When It Matters podcast. Looking back, are there any moments that really mattered to get you where you are today?
I think, if you're looking for that fork in the road, for me, was probably where I am today is when I first started having children. I think this is another where I think a lot of women find that fork in the road. I think I really had to decide what kind of mom and what kind of business owner I wanted to be. And it was probably shortly after, within the year or two after I had my first child, that I really decided that this business is where I wanted to be, and where I started talking about that life balance, work-life balance, and where it became really important to me. And through all of that is when I made that decision, and that dedication is where things really started changing in the business, and we really had new direction, new plans where we were going. As far as that point in our business, I think in 20 years, economy and competition and other things, other factors that get into the way of the rise and fall of success in your business. Probably one of the biggest challenges and a turning point for me was kind of collectively in our market is when the oil boom started to rise. Employees were difficult to find, and work was so abundant. And then the floods hit between Minot and Bismarck. It was all sort of in that same year time span. And we really had to change the way we did our business, the way we managed, the way we bid and sold. And it really kind of transformed our business. So that was probably fork number 2, and how we were able to grow through that and not kind of outgrow ourselves in a sense.
Sure. Yeah. It kind of seems like whether it's your kids or people with these floods you're talking about in Minot or Bismarck, there's a deeper purpose driving it all, kind of. So that's great. So where can people learn more or connect with City Air Mechanical?
Probably the easiest way in today's day and age is the web, www.cityairmechanical.com. There's all kinds of information on our website, as well as just give us a call if you have any needs.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
And thank you for having me.
Appreciate all the advice you've given.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the When It Matters podcast. Subscribe for new episodes and connect with us online at Kirkwood Bank & Trust on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And for more information or to speak with one of our financial experts, visit kirkwoodbank.com. Kirkwood Bank & Trust, member FDIC, equal housing lender.